And welcome to another episode of Bad Jazz. This is the show where we evaluate performances by various jazz artists, including amateurs and professionals. My name is Paul Tobey. Welcome to the episode. Today, we're going to be giving some constructive feedback to Lucas Okonski, who submitted a recording of the famous Miles Davis and Bill Evans composition called Blue in Green. We're going to give him some constructive feedback, and we're going to maybe give you some ideas on how you can improve your next performances. Remember, if you'd like to submit one of your recordings to an episode of Bad Jazz, all you have to do is go to this link up here in the corner and you can submit your episode absolutely free, and we will see if we get to it. All right, let's jump in and listen to Lucas Okonski playing Blue in Green. Right, like always, we don't have time to listen to everything. I appreciate this submission. Very brave of you to tackle this tune. You know, I'm just going to bring up the lead sheet right now because it's not a difficult tune. This tune is 10 bars, essentially, and it repeats a lot in there. I think the thing that makes this tune so special is the chords themselves. Now, if you look at the entire concept of the album Kind of Blue, it really is kind of blue. It's very dark and there's not a lot of chords. They border on blues a lot, which I think you can really do here, which I didn't hear a lot of. So let me just make a few suggestions on things you might work on. And of course, I try to be as complimentary as I can to players. I super appreciate the submission and what a great effort, but there's always things that I hear that are going to need some work, at least from my perspective. Doesn't make it the only perspective, it just makes it mine, and I have some experience, especially with this tune. So the first thing I'm going to say is, with a melody this simple, you got to cover it. At least for an entire chorus. Try to stay away from any improvisation when playing the head of this tune. If you actually go and listen to Miles play the tune, it's pretty straightforward. And while you're doing the melody, think about the chords themselves and trying to play them a little bit more in the style of Kind of Blue. For example, on the B flat major 7 sharp 11 chord, think about playing in fourths. So if we just go from the melody note, so if you got fourths here, and this in the melody, and throw a B flat in there, and now you've got a B flat major 13 sharp 11 chord over A. What a great sound. So what I'm just trying to point out is maybe make your chord voicings a little more chordal in nature, playing in fourths. And then when we get to the A7 sharp 11 chord, you might want to plunk the bass note down. And then here, just like in the tune So What, you can go to the E flat, right? Think about that in terms of the melody themselves, trying to play a chord voicing on each of the melody notes. And this really makes the melody stand out. So let's just go back and do that again. And then more melody notes. And it really doesn't matter what chord you play there. Play a billion different voicings. But what I noticed in your playing is you kept plunking down bass notes. You don't really need to do that, even as a solo player. And we're back to the top. So that's one thing I would work on. Just check out the actual lead sheet or whatever piece of music you have, whatever chords are written, and just try to cover those chords as much as possible. Stay away from plunking a bass note down on each of the chords. It's not necessary, but also when you're playing the melody, put a chord almost on every note of the melody. And you can ornament things like blues. And when you're playing it twice, try not to play the same chords again. I'm just going to jump over to the piano in just a moment and give you a better sense of what I'm about to say, which is the second most important thing about this tune. Because it's such a simple tune and because it's only like 10 bars, I personally think rhythm is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. And for that, you're going to have to keep the beat in the back of your head the entire time. I found that the performance that you played, while it was interesting, it needed quite a bit more rhythm. Actually, let's go back to your performance and let's see if we can actually feel the rhythm in your performance. We'll just keep going from where we left off. So like there's glimpses of rhythm, but then you stray from that and go back into rubato. Let's just skip over to the ending. Yeah, it's almost like very classical in nature, and that's kind of my point here. It's like, get into more jazz, think about more chordal voicings, and think about rhythm. Again, I'm going to jump to the piano in just a second, but if you take a look at some of the things he's doing, you've got like classical things going on. You know, those are like classical scales and things like that. I would think more blues if I'm doing an ending like this. So, you know, we're going. Then it gets up here. You know, this is obviously off the top of my head and just one idea. Now, there's a million things you can do, of course. I would say because it's jazz, stick to more jazz scales, modal scales, instead of like, I think he played some harmonic scales and some melodic minor scales, and I think that's cool, and you can do that, but intersperse it a little bit with a little more blue, and it'll sound much better. Let me just hop over to the piano right now and give you a few more ideas on the rhythm and how to approach that. All right, we're over here at the grand piano, and just before I give Lucas a few more ideas on the tune Blue and Green, try to remember that if you like videos like this, go ahead and give them a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you'd like to subscribe to our little channel, just hit the little bell when you do, and we will notify you of all the upcoming videos that we're making, including more Bad Jazz episodes. All right, Lucas, we are doing a tune that is very simple in nature, very simple melody. Chords are a little complex, but to keep it interesting, I think rhythm is an important part. And when it comes to rhythm, especially with slow ballads like this, try to keep 4 in the back of your mind, or at the front of it, as it were, and just count off in your head. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Every bar is an upbeat on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea? It's like, it just gives it that rhythmic interest, and if you keep, well, maybe even 2 and 4 in the back of your mind as you're playing, it's going to make it that much more interesting. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So just a little bit of soloing to kind of give you an idea of the rhythm that's always going on in the background. To me, the tune is sparse in nature, but can really use an interest point, which to me is like the rhythm. I hope that helps you, Lucas. Thank you so much for submitting it. It's quite brave of people to submit their performances to us for review here on Bad Jazz. If you'd like to submit your performance, again, I put one in the video a little bit earlier. I'll also post one below so that you can get your next performance reviewed by us on Bad Jazz. Hey, my name is Paul Tobey. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're looking for another episode of Bad Jazz, you can check this one out.